Ever like toss an old phone in the trash and just, I don't know, get that little twinge of guilt? Like maybe it's going to end up causing trouble in a landfill somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's more than just a feeling, really. It's a huge problem we've got. It's like we're drowning in old electronics. And those lithium ion batteries, the ones that power, well, practically everything these days, those are kind of a ticking time bomb if they're not dealt with properly.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely moved past twinge of guilt and straight into existential crisis territory. But hey, that's what we do these deep dives for, right? We've got a ton of info here about GreenFlow Environmental Solutions, and they're tackling this whole battery thing head on. And they're not just disposing of them either. They're all about that responsible recycling.
And what's really interesting is it's not like a one-size-fits-all kind of operation, you know? It's not like you can just toss a AAA battery in with, like, a Tesla battery pack and call it a day. But GreenFlow, they get that. They come up with custom disposal and recycling plans for every single client. Doesn't matter if it's like a tech giant dealing with mountains of old smartphones or your local mechanic with a box full of dead power drill batteries. They've got a plan.
So they're like the bespoke tailors of the battery world.
Yeah.
That's a level of personalization you don't see every day. Why is all that so important?
Well, the stakes are pretty high, to be honest. You're talking about some potent mixes of metals and chemicals. Some of that stuff, if it leaches out into the environment, it's bad news.
Okay, yeah. Hazardous is not a word I want anywhere near my drinking water.
Mm.
So GreenFlow, they've got ways to stop that from happening, right? How does that even work?
They've got a whole process, actually. It's way more intricate than you'd think. It's not just like chucking batteries in a bin and hoping for the best. They carefully take them apart, separate all the different parts and pieces, and then neutralize any of the stuff that could be dangerous.
So it's like what, a cross between like tech surgery and a chemistry lab. That's a lot more complicated than just your average reduce, reuse, recycle.
Exactly. And that's what makes them different, you know? They've got the knowledge and the specialized equipment to deal with the really complicated stuff in a way that's safe for the planet. It's not about making things disappear, it's about changing them into something else.
Sounds like they're closing the loop on the whole life of these batteries.
Yeah.
But speaking of loops, you mentioned mountains of smartphones earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Just how big of a problem are we talking here?
Oh, it's huge. And it's growing crazy fast. Get this. Some estimates say we're going to be looking at over 11 million metric tons of lithium-ion battery waste globally by 2030.
11 million. That's a lot of batteries. It's not just a couple old laptops and power drills, is it? This is like a whole tidal wave of electronic waste, right?
Right.
If it's not handled right?
It's a recipe for disaster. We're talking contaminated soil and water, harm to wildlife, even risks to people potentially. It's not something we can just ignore.
Definitely not. So GreenFlow, this whole focus on responsible recycling, it's not just about like being nice to the planet. It's about preventing a potential crisis, right?
Yeah. Exactly. They're like the front line in a fight most people don't even realize is happening.
Okay, so they're the good guys here. But GreenFlow's not the only one dealing with this stuff, right? There are rules and regulations about how to get rid of batteries, aren't there?
No, absolutely. It's different everywhere you go, but those rules are getting stricter all the time. A lot of places, you can't just toss these batteries in the trash anymore. Could even get hit with a pretty hefty fine if you do.
So GreenFlow's not just providing a service, they're helping companies navigate this legal minefield.
Precisely. And that peace of mind, knowing you're getting rid of these batteries the right way, legally and responsibly, that's a huge selling point for their clients. It's not just about doing the right thing, it's about being able to prove you did it.
Smart. But it's not just companies that need to be in the loop here, right? What about the rest of us? What can we do to make sure our old devices and their batteries don't, well, blow up in our faces? So what do we do? Like, do I have to perform surgery on my old phone before I even think about tossing it out?
Thankfully, it's not quite that intense. Just a little awareness goes a long way. Like before you even buy the latest gadget, think about what happens when you're done with it. Does the company have a take-back program? Something like that.
Oh, that's a good point. We're all about the specs and reviews, but we don't really think about what happens when it's time to say goodbye to our electronics. It's like we think they'll last forever or something.
Out of sight, out of mind, right? Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. If a company takes responsibility for their products down the line, that's a good sign. If not, look for a good e-waste recycler in your area. Don't just assume your regular recycling center can handle an old laptop or a power drill.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like assuming all trash is the same.
Yeah.
But electronics, those batteries especially, that's a different beast.
Yeah.
So, okay, I've done my research. I found a responsible recycler. We're good, right?
To getting there. But here's something most people don't realize. Even choosing the right kind of battery in the first place can make a difference. You got to think about the whole life cycle, even when you're buying the thing.
Wait, and you saying there's like a good lithium-ion battery and a bad one?
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were all just, ticking time bombs waiting to happen in a landfill somewhere.
We haven't quite figured out a perfectly green battery yet, but some are definitely designed with recycling in mind, yeah.
Okay, so if I'm choosing between, say, two different brands of rechargeable batteries for my camera, I should be thinking about which one's easier to recycle down the line. I'll be honest, that's not usually my top priority.
It's a small thing, but it all adds up, right? Especially when you think about how many batteries we're talking about on a global scale. And it's not even just about the battery itself, it's what's inside.
Right, all those valuable metals, like the lithium and cobalt, we're basically sitting on a gold mine, but instead of, mining it properly, we're just chucking it in a landfill.
It's all about short-term thinking versus playing the long game, We've got the tech to recycle these materials, give them a second life, but we need to actually commit to doing it.
Makes you wonder what the future holds. Are we going to be swimming in battery waste? Or is there some hope for us yet?
Oh, there's always hope. There's some seriously cool research happening right now that could change everything about how we think about batteries.
Okay, now you've got me really curious. What kind of research? Give me the sci-fi, futuristic, battery-powered dreams.
Imagine a world where batteries aren't just rechargeable, but totally reusable. Like, the battery itself gets a second life, not just the stuff inside it.
Hold on, reusable? Like I could take the battery out of my old phone and pop it into a new one. Is that even possible?
It's not as crazy as it sounds. Researchers are already trying to figure out how to refurbish and reuse battery cells, especially for the big stuff like electric vehicles.
Wow, that would be huge.
Yeah.
So instead of just recycling the materials, we're talking about recycling the whole battery.
Exactly. It would mean way less need to mine new materials, less waste, maybe even cheaper batteries. Everybody wins.
That's incredible, but that sounds like it's a ways off, right?
Yeah.
What else is coming down the pipeline in the battery world?
Another really promising area is developing completely new types of batteries, ones that use materials that are more common and less toxic.
So moving away from lithium-ion entirely, what would these new batteries even be made of?
Scientists are looking at all sorts of stuff. Sodium-ion batteries, which use sodium instead of lithium. Magnesium-ion batteries, which could be safer and hold even more energy.
Okay, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
What about the really futuristic stuff? Are we talking batteries powered by, like, potato peels or something?
Maybe not potato peels yet, but there's definitely a lot of interest in what they call organic batteries or biobatteries. They use natural materials and processes.
It's wild to think the answer to our battery problems might come from nature itself. Makes you wonder what other breakthroughs are right around the corner.
Absolutely. And the best part is it's not just about the tech. People are starting to realize we need to create a more circular economy.
A circular economy, huh? So it's not just about recycling, it's about rethinking the whole system, right?
Exactly. Designing products so they can be easily taken apart and reused at the end of their life, minimizing waste, using things for as long as possible.
Wow, that's a pretty big change from how we do things now. It's like, are we stuck in the Stone Age of electronics or something? With these huge mountains of e-waste piling up. But this circular economy, that sounds more like, some optimistic sci-fi future.
Exactly. A future where there's almost no waste. We actually value resources, and stuff is designed to last a long time and be reused. And it's not just some utopian dream either. It's going to be a necessity.
Especially with all those lithium-ion batteries we're going to need, right? The demand's only going up.
Exactly. The electric car market's exploding. We're relying more and more on renewable energy like solar and wind. All that needs batteries, good batteries.
So it's not just about, like, disposing of them properly anymore. It's about making a system where we can just keep reusing those resources over and over, almost like nature does it.
There you go. Nature's the perfect example of a circular economy, really. Always breaking things down and building new stuff. Nothing goes to waste.
And companies like GreenFlow, they're kind of like the pioneers, right? Figuring out how to take those lessons from nature and apply them to this tech stuff.
They're definitely leading the way. And it's not just talk with them either. They're putting their money where their mouth is. Like that one tree planted thing they do, that shows they're serious about this whole sustainable future thing.
Oh, yeah. For every job they do, they plant a tree. It's like they're actually giving back the resources they're using.
It's a great example of what businesses can do. It's not just about, canceling out the bad stuff they do. It's about actually making the planet a little bit better.
It's kind of inspiring, honestly. It reminds you that we're all connected, right? Whether we're talking about forests or factories, it's all one big system.
Absolutely. We all play a part in making a more sustainable future. The choices we make as consumers, even the policies we support, it all
So
matters.
what's the big takeaway for everyone listening today besides don't throw your old phone in the trash, obviously?
It's about being aware. Aware of the products you're buying, the companies you're supporting, what your choices actually mean for the planet. Every little thing you do makes a difference.
It's about those little things, right? Like checking if a company has a recycling program or even just picking a battery that's easier to recycle. Those choices add up.
Exactly. It's about moving away from this whole throw it away mentality and moving towards a way of life where we reuse things, repurpose things, regenerate.
And maybe even be a little amazed by what science can do,
Yeah.
right? I mean, who knows what crazy battery breakthroughs are coming next?
Exactly. This is a field that's changing all the time. It's a really exciting time to be paying attention. The future of battery tech, it's wide open.
Well, on that note of optimistic futurism, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive. It's been great exploring all this with you.
It's been a pleasure.
And a huge thank you to everyone listening for joining us on this journey into the world of lithium-ion batteries, learning about how to dispose of them properly, and getting a glimpse of what the future might hold. Remember, knowledge is power, and the more we understand about how our choices affect the world around us, the better equipped we are to make a real difference. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing and those batteries charged.